welcome to our first interview on Dev Talks.
Yes.
It is a new speaker series produced by the Knowledge Society, and the goal of this series is to discuss the social, business, and technological models of different development leaders and their work. And it is a pleasure to have Seema Aziz here with us today. She's an entrepreneur and social activist who has worked to improve the education system in Pakistan. Without giving away too much, Ms. Aziz, could you briefly outline your work?
Outline my work. That's a long story. So today we run 900 schools across Pakistan, and we're educating just over 300,000 children today enrolled. And we have about 12 to 14,000 children graduating our schools every year. Graduating means taking their metric exam. And when we started the schools, when the First Care School opened its doors in January 1991, the world was still talking about literacy. 5 years of education was what people talked about, and I could not understand it at all. I understood then, and I know now, that 10 years of school is a minimum. If people don't do those 10 years of school, then the education will have no impact. It will not change their lives, will not improve their lives in any ways. And now I know that data says that too few years of school, people slide back into illiteracy. But long ago, I didn't know that data. And that's how we started. So the First Care School was a high school too. And I guess the only difference maybe between what we do and I've realized now what a lot of other wonderful organizations do. When I built that first school and was trying to put together the curriculum, the first school was built in a flood area. So really, we'll have to go back to why I started. There was a terrible flood in 1988, which devastated the larger part of the Punjab where I live, and all the rivers overflowed their banks, and thousands of villages were destroyed, and hundreds of thousands of people lost their homes and all their personal belongings and were camped on the roads. And that's how we started. I went out in that flood area to help people with food and water and then medicines. And, we soon realized that food and water after a few days was okay. Lots of people were coming in with food and water. And then we set up camps for medicines. But after a few days, we realized that what was wrong was that everyone was camped on the roads. They'd lost everything they owned. They'd lost their homes. And what they really needed somehow was homes. So we were a small group of people, 2, 3, my brother, myself, and a couple of friends. And I guess young and crazy. And we thought, we must help. We'll help 10 families rebuild their homes. So we put the word out, and maybe we got 120 or so applications from that area, and we quickly sat together and read the applications and said, what's your favorite number? And then the other person, what's your favorite number? 10. Okay, number 10. And, pick 10 random. And then stood on the site of their collapsed homes and gave them money for rebuilding. But we decided as we were putting together this plan, we said we'll help 10 families rebuild, but we won't give them the money all together in one go, because we'd been working for them in the flood and people were hungry and in trouble. And we said, they'll just they'll eat up the money. I mean, they need food. So if we want to ensure that they build their homes, we'll give it in installments. So we gave the first installment, and we said we wanted them to do the work, and we keep paying for everything. And we said we'll be back a week later with the next installment. When we arrived, so there were hundreds of people pulling at us and saying, look at us, we've lost everything too. So we took on another one and ended up building about 80 homes. And in that process, and also where we thought we'd build mud homes, we thought we'd just put people back in the condition they were in before a natural calamity. But as we were building the mud homes, we realized we were all wrong. Mud homes take long to build, and they have to be, every foot has to dry before you put on the next foot. Anyway, also we realized the 4, 5 brick homes in that area had not collapsed, but all the mud homes had collapsed. So the only difference we made was where their mud homes stood, we helped them build solid brick homes. And just that was it. And in that process, I was there every day. It took long, after 3-4 months, the rest of my friends said, this is enough. We have to go do other things. We have to continue with our lives. But I just couldn't let go. I said, no, I can't let go. So I was there out there every day for the next many, many months, helping people rebuild their homes, and got totally involved, I guess. And as time went on, and I got to know the people better, and also every day when I'd go there to give the money and help rebuild, I realized I had become like a Pied Piper. I was followed by hundreds of children, all barefoot, runny noses, matted hair, and they followed me around all day. And one day I asked the women, I said, why do the children follow me around? So the women said, what should they do? Go to school. They said, but there's no school. I don't know, that just lit like a light in my head. In that area where we were working, there was no running water, no sewage, no electricity, and of course, no school. And I don't know, somehow it hit me there that, a flood will come again next year and they're going to lose their homes again. Will they look again for somebody like me to help them rebuild? What's the difference between them and me? That was all that kept coming to my mind. What's the difference between them and me? Why can I do so much and go and plead a cause and talk to people, and why can't they? And I knew that there was just one answer: illiteracy. There was absolute illiteracy in that area. And I knew that, the only empowerment, the only real change that we needed to make was to give an education, to build a school, to provide education, because education is the only real empowerment. It helps people stand on their own feet. It helps them take charge of their own destiny, to plan, to plead a cause, to fight for their rights. And so that's how it started. I said, I have to build a school. And everybody, I put the word out. And after a few days, I got this little note, just a note saying, you're doing great work and we have this piece of land and we want to give it to you. So can we meet up? And we did. But everybody, my friends, everyone said, now you've lost it. You want to build a school? Don't you know that the poor don't want to study? And I said, no. I worked with them for so many months. And I've understood that everyone but everyone loves their children like we do. And everyone has the same hopes and the same dreams and want a better life for their children. And if the opportunity doesn't exist, we as a people and as a nation are at fault. And I said, if I build it and nobody comes, then I'll be at peace and I will have done what I had to. So anyway, I put together the money, and I know you've been asking me how, and I can tell you, but there's no system to it. Everyone who heard of the work I was doing, just people, friends, family, random, I'd get anonymous money. And I was just too busy trying to, I'd had somebody come and design for me 2 high schools, a girls' high school and a boys' high school. And I'd count the bricks every night, and I'd count the bags of cement, because I kept thinking somebody will steal the bricks and somebody will steal the cement and my school will never be made. But anyway, we went on, and soon the school was made, and it was ready, and we put the word out that school is ready. We announced from the mosques, and please come and enroll. And the day that we announced, 250 children enrolled and had their names put down in the registers. And as I was looking at the curriculums, the government curriculum, trying to put together a curriculum for my school, I realized that the books that I had studied, that my children were studying, were totally different to what the government curriculum was and what the rest of the country was studying. And so I picked up the HSN curriculum, which is where my son had just joined. And they had the same books that I had studied 35 years before that. And I just put it into that village school. I knew then it had to be equal. It had to be English medium. It had to be exactly what I had studied, what my children were studying. And the other thing that I did was I realized then that, oh God, if I make a separate boys section and separate girls. Nobody will ever be able to teach my girls maths and science and English. It has to be one. So that first school and every last care school are co-education and English medium. And everyone but everyone, my brother, my friends said, and now you're mad and people will lynch you. You're totally mad. And I said, I'm not. I spent so much time with them and I understand that this is what they want, a better life. And so we opened those doors, 17th of January, 1991. And 250 children had lined up outside. It was a cold day, barefoot, matted hair, runny noses, top, no trouser, trouser, no top, case, just wrapped a cloth around them. And we started. There's a running water. We started by, we had put up hand pumps. A lot of people, when we were building homes, said, don't build the home, give us a hand pump, So I'd learned so much in that flood area. I learned so much. And so we had to walk everyone to the hand pump and with towels and comb and whatever, and wash their faces and then start. But it's been an amazing journey. There were no teachers, nothing. The concept was absolutely an equal education, and absolutely equal. And we've stayed with that from that day to this. We do exactly that. And by the end of the year, it was actually in the middle of the year when the summer holiday time came along. So I asked the teachers, and our children had turned around by then already. And they came in all sizes, and we just had a method of working. I actually replicated my own education. I'd been to a grade school and did exactly that same whole system, put it in there. And by the summer holidays, we said, oh my God, if there's 3 months of summer holidays, they'll all go wild again. And I asked the teachers, what should we do? And we decided that there won't be summer holidays. We'll do 6 weeks of summer camp and 6 weeks of summer holidays. And also, they needed all the extra support. They'd never been to school, and 100% of their parents were illiterate, and it was a 100% illiterate area. And so for that, so we worked through the summer holidays with them. And by the end of the year, they were all amazing. And word got around, there's a school where education happens. So next year, there were 450 children standing in our schools, and the next year there were 800. And we were busy building more rooms. And by the third year or fourth year, we were running double shifts in the school, and we had like 1,300 children, girls and boys, walking hours and miles to school, And from there, we just went on. And today we have the 900 schools and our thousands of fabulous graduating children. The dream was equality and still is. Yes. Sorry.
Great. May I interject here, Seema? I want to ask two short questions.
Yes.
Great story, because it shows that you don't see with your eyes, you see with your heart, which other people don't see. When they go there, they say people are not aware that there should be education.
No.
They need millions of dollars to create. So you can see it's heart-to-heart contact. But two questions I want to ask is, in what way these students are giving back to society? And the other is that what you experiment with the government schools when you were given government school to turn them around. I think these two stories are very important.
Okay. So first it was, as we went on, we quickly built another school and then another school. And the next one was 10 miles away and the other one was quite far away. Somebody came and said, somebody with a big business said, can you build a school on our land and run it? And happy to. We were just dying to get to every child. It was too easy. The children are really, really bright. That's the one message I want to give everyone. Our children are amazing. And this story about people not wanting to educate their children, I don't understand it. People not wanting to educate their girls, I don't understand it. Why have I never met those parents in all these years and in these hundreds of thousands of children? We have over 150, maybe 170,000 children graduated our schools. Our first doctor from King Edward Medical College, which is best in the region, for a graduate from our first village school was in 2003. graduated doctor, today a heart specialist. Because since our quality of education was equal, honestly, children are equal. That's the one message I'd like people to understand. All equal, all equal. It's just the educational opportunities that people are exposed to or provided with that makes the difference. And I've learned over the years that in a country like ours and in many other countries like mine, where a lot of people don't have access to education, it is the duty of people like ourselves who have that opportunity to ensure that our children get that opportunity and have the ability to change their lives. So anyway, in the middle of all that, by the 1998, government called me and said, why do your schools do so well and why don't ours? And can you please adopt some of our schools? So I agreed, and I went and in and around the city of Lahore, I surveyed about 25 schools. Whoever the government took me around to see the schools, and I was horrified. The condition of the schools was not what it should be, and there was broken floors and somewhere no furniture, not lights, not fans, and lots of children sitting in their neat little uniforms on broken floors, waiting for an education to happen, which was not going to happen. A lot was missing in those schools. So anyway, we agreed to adopt government schools, and we agreed to adopt 10 government schools. The government, of course, had been asking us to do many more, but I said, we're a very small organization and we don't want to destroy your schools. We'll start with 10. And we put in the lights, the fans, the furniture. Our commitment was to put in a lab and a library in every school. And of course, we put in our own trained care teachers. And this is with no money from government whatsoever, not even 1 penny from government. And we've never reached out to any international donor agency. All the money, whether anyone can understand or not, I don't even know how to explain, all the money was individuals, friends, family, people who saw the work we were doing, people who just saw what we were doing, and the money just kept coming in. And soon, like organizations like various multinational companies who had business there and various local companies who had big business would say, can you build a school next to our factory or in the region where we work? And it just kept going. And so the government schools was, of course, tricky. But we walked into those schools, we signed that contract and put in the lights and the fans and the furniture and a lab and a library in every school and fixed all that we could in our own teachers and walked in on the 1st of September, 1998. So government had to do some stuff. They had to repair and whatever, and they hadn't done that. So anyway, we managed to do that too, and we just started. And of course, there was a lot of opposition and a lot of unions and teachers who thought that, we were just foreign agents or whatever. But it was, we'd made a strategy. Honestly, I'd seen the condition of the children and we'd made a strategy of non-confrontation and non-criticism. And I told my team, we're never going to give anyone an opportunity to throw us out. We want to stand and serve. I've seen the condition of my children. We just started. And so, it was amazing. It was really actually a journey of joy one way or the other. Yes, we had lots of opposition. Yes, lots of people were, especially teachers' unions and all, were very upset. But, gradually, we had those same people calling me and saying, there's a new government in place. If somebody bothers you, tell us, we're on your side. And I remember laughing and saying, oh my God, what have I done now? Why do you want to be on my side? No, your work is very good and we appreciate that. But if you do anything wrong, remember, we'll be in the streets and we will throw you out and, stuff like that. But I realized it was just maybe the honesty of the work that we did, the concern with which we did it. And the next government, soon the government said, can you please take on another 10 schools? And after that, there was the local governments came in and the city district, the mayor of Lahore called me and said, can you please take on 140 schools together, a whole town? And I still remember saying, oh God, this is, we just had 35, 40 schools at that time. But we did. So we took on 140 schools together in 2002, and we shook as an organization, but we managed to turn them around. And the government schools, as we took them on, within a year, we had turned them around. Enrollments doubled and then quadrupled and then grew even more. And dropouts, there were no dropouts. Otherwise, the data will tell you that in Pakistan, in the government schools, nearly 100% or 90% children enroll in class 1, but by class 5, 80%, 60% have dropped out. And by class 10, 80% have dropped out. And I don't know why people don't read that data carefully. Everyone says people don't want to educate their children, but that's not the truth. They do enroll nearly 100% in class 1. But they keep dropping out because the quality of education in the schools is not something which creates value in their lives. And actually, I'm amazed, was then and always I am amazed. How did the poor and illiterate parents, why did they know that our schools were providing something of bigger value? Because like you're saying, we've never motivated. My team was, somebody had come to ask us to adopt some schools in another province. And my team was saying, they all were asking, and how do you do social mobilization? What do you do? And they said, that's a strange word. We've never heard it before. We've never done it. We just opened schools, and we have never tried to motivate or get people to come. People just arrive. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Word gets around and people start coming to our schools. We just build or adopt and run schools, providing the best quality of education with love and respect. And that's it. We have never done pick and drop. We do nothing. And we're very, very strict. I keep telling everyone the love is very hidden because we're very strict. If the school is starting at 8 a.m., then at 8 a.m. sharp, the doors are shut. And the children who are late will stand outside. We are very particular. We run it just like my school did. 5 minutes before assembly, there's an assembly bell and everyone has to assemble. And at 8 o'clock sharp, the gates will shut. And then after assembly, we do open them and the names get written. And if children are late 3 times, their parents have to come. And very often the children have walked hours and miles to school. Yeah. When our village schools started running double shifts, and there are more than 1,400 children in that first school, we realized that they had to be coming from very far and wide because there were just not that many such heavily populated villages in that area. So through the rest of the journey too, the government schools soon, the empty government schools, a lot of them we took over were empty. And today our largest boys' school in Lahore has 4,000 boys, and our largest girls' school in Lahore has about the same number, 4,000 girls. And these are schools which run double shift. And some are on fairly small areas, and the buildings are not that large, just the rooms are, there's not so much space for ground or playing, but the schools are full, and our dropouts are very, very low. It's under 10%. So it's really the champions and heroes are the children and their parents and their own desire to study. We have many remote girls' schools, and they do really well, but one is particularly moves me. We took it over with about 30, 40 children, literally under a tree. It was a government school, primary school, maybe a middle school, but the children were only up to primary. And it was under a tree, 2 locked rooms behind it, and a not very educated head teacher. It's on the way to an hour outside of Lahore and 7-8 miles off the main road. For whatever reason, we adopted that school. Today it has 1,100 girls, and it has had 1,100 girls for many, many years now. We took it up to metric, and then we took it up to FA because we were very worried. In rural areas, if girls have just done a metric, sometimes parents may not send them to college. But if they've done an FA, then they're much more likely to send them to college. And this is the only school we have which we've taken up to BA. So in BA, there are very few girls, 5, 6, 10 at any time, but it's amazing. The girls come from far and wide, and you have to meet the parents. Their stories are very heartwarming. That they say, we don't eat food, we don't know what good food is or good clothes are, we are educating our girls. And I was like, the first time I heard it, I said, oh my God, but the school is free. No, they said the the transport costs 4,000-5,000 a month per girl, because there's not a lot of public transport here, and definitely not in rural areas. So that's what we do. And your second question was about how are people giving back. So the children are just amazing, just amazing. And because of the education, which is so equal, and we throw them in equal, our children have gotten best delegate award in the in the LUMS model UN in places like LUMS, the university in Lahore. They've come away with best delegate award. And our children are all school children. And LUMS is a college, and the average age in those the model UNs is like maybe 16, 17. So our children do really, really well. And they top the board too. Always a few in the top 10 positions of the board. And a lot of doctors are girl engineers. We are amazed at what parents allow their children to do and how proud they are of those children. One of our girls, who her father had a pan ka khoka, and then nobody was educated. She landed in a school, and then we started the scholarship program, college scholarship program, really early on. In 1998, when our first children were ready to go to college, I realized they may not ever be able to go to college because they couldn't afford it. So we started a scholarship scheme, and everybody who could get into college on merit, we sponsored them through college. And so on a scholarship, that's how a lot of children can go on to higher education. So a lot of the girls go through college on that. And one of our girls then was really good, and she wanted to go to engineering university, to UET, and she studied there, two of the girls together. So I guess that's how they could do it more easily. Anyway, and then she went on to teach in UET. They're not even girls studying there. She went on to teach there. And then she worked as a site engineer in NESPARC, and she's, I think, just completing her PhD from Australia in a field of engineering. That she'll be the first woman in Pakistan to do it. So there's such amazing stories. And when you talk to the children, talk to the girls especially, and everybody actually, so they're busy. They're saying we're trying to educate every other girl in our family, because everyone now says we want to be educated. And I find people amazingly good and very keen for the education. And no parents, lots of people ask me, and how many girls in your school and boys, are there more boys? And they never are. Whenever we count, it's just equal numbers of girls and equal numbers of boys. And I haven't met the parents who don't want to educate their girls. I've just never met them. And that's what we do. So, and then of course, every successive government kept asking us to take on more schools, and we have done that throughout. And now, of course, because we desperately think we need to do more, really, really want to do more. So the 1 million children was, I thought, if we want to change the narrative of education in Pakistan, or to really make a change which is visible, it'll have to be at least 1 million children at one time enrolled. And no, on your question which you've asked, it's where the pace is too slow. The COVID years stopped us. Also, but we really now want to desperately somehow reach many more children. So we're requesting government, actually, for the first time, we're requesting to allow us to adopt more schools so that we can just reach more children. And for all the adopted schools, again, we have never taken any money. It's not government money, it's private money. And private is friends, family, businesses, large and small in Pakistan. Yeah, and I can't tell you why it's there, but yes, I don't know. I just I don't know. I find it tragic that people don't have the opportunity to study. I find it tragic. Yeah.
So I do have a question. You basically answered everything, but I know you were talking about how you implemented the curriculum of when you were in school and how you copied the
Yes.
Atchison College curriculum. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering if you believe that education in your time was higher quality than it is now, and where do you think education is going? Especially because you've created so many successful stories from the school system that you went to, and now you have generations of new kids who are going to the same system.
So, something, I, I, I just replicated my own education because I thought it was a great education. I'd missed nothing. It was the best that the country offered. And when I saw that my son's books were exactly, it was the same Radiant Way, the same. And I don't think I thought much further. I just said, since it was the dream was equality, I kept thinking it's terrible, equal citizens of a sovereign nation. There has to be, in any way, it has to be the same curriculum, the same language at least. And so the English medium. I didn't think very deeply, but I promise I feel that a lot of, whatever we're doing works really, really well. It's good, solid education. And we just still do the same thing. We get the top clients, and we're very interactive. So my education was exactly the same. It has to be interactive. I used to go through schools saying, I want to hear only children voices, no teacher voices. So it's like writing answers on blackboards or dictating answers, which was what was happening in this country a lot. It was banned. I kept saying it has to be free thought, no guidebooks in our schools. No one will ever say to a child, you are stupid, of course, and all that sort of stuff, which I believed in. I kept implementing through the schools. And that's how the whole care system works. And so it was just that, the same education, down to paper picking. In my school, there was after recess and after assembly, it would be one class's duty or something to pick papers after all the classes had gone in. And that's what all the schools do. I feel it teaches you so many things. It's so good for children to understand, to take ownership, so all the things that I liked about my education is what we put in. And I don't know, and I'll have to learn that from you, but I honestly believe that there was solid good in the education that I received at that time and what the care children receive at this time. And the world has new books all the time, but we still
One more thing, I think, one is this education you're talking about, but behind this education is another teaching, which is caring for the other, which is education of values. Where did you learn those values?
Oh my
that
God,
is important.
What can I say? My grandparents, my grandfather, my family, this is the values I believe in, all equal. Don't we all? We have to, it is all equal from the core of my heart. I believe it. I see it. I know it. And it's all equal. I cannot look at it in any other way. I don't find people different. I don't find it. Of course, everyone, even coming out of Atchison or coming out of Harvard or anywhere, everyone will not be a champion. Everyone will not be the most successful person. But it's the equality of opportunity that I feel is very important, So it's not that, that's it. It's I guess I said my school gave me a great value system, but I know that my family, my grandfather, a lot. We used to talk for hours about what was right and wrong, and many things which other people at that time wouldn't talk about, and I could question everything.
Thank you so much. Should we end here, Mona? I think because this is great. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for sparing time to talk to us. We want to share the stories because we think people learn through stories.
I want people to know the story of what our children and our people are like. I want this narrative to survive. It is the truth. I'm not talking of 100 children or 5 schools or 100 schools. I'm talking of hundreds of thousands of children over 33 years now of care schools. And honestly, they are just absolutely equal. Our children are doing the most amazing things. It doesn't matter what they're, it's the right of every child. All the work that we do in care, and I say it loudly and everybody, it's everywhere and all the time. It's not charity. We've never done charity in our lives. It's the right of every child to get this education. The duty of government, but honestly, the duty of citizens like ourselves to ensure that our children get the education which is their right. So they're right and our duty, and we have done nothing more. Nothing accrues from anybody.
If you allow me, Ms. Seema,
Yes.
can I conclude by saying that your values not only taught you to look for equality, but the most important thing is to see the beauty in other people, in the poor, in the young girls and boys, and to beautify them more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should conclude here.